Greetings, Patrick here. 8 questions with, and whereas yesterday I said good evening to a cold, rainy Michigan night. Now I can actually sit there and say good morning to a chilly Michigan night, but no rain. Good old Michigan. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, it'll change. So welcome to the show. Glad to have you. Our guest tonight is Larry, the horror cat dad. That's right, Larry. They're very popular and very well respected horror tuber, movie tuber in our community, and I'm really happy that he's here, and we're gonna be able to talk some movies, and we'll be able to talk some cats. Larry has 6 cats. He has 6. He definitely is the horror cat dad. I'm just doing well to hang with a cheetah. I don't know how I could hang with 6 cheetahs. Um, but we will be talking with him on about 15 minutes or so. Let's see. And Anthony's here. He's saying that Godzilla versus King Kong, it was awesome. Yeah, I've been hearing that. I've been hearing it's been pretty good. Um, of course, there's a scene in there that made me laugh. I have to admit, it made me laugh. I was just shaking my head when I saw the big twist. I was laughing my ass off, and like, of course, that would happen. Of course, that of all the kaiju that you weren't expecting to see, that would be the one that I would be expecting to see, and wouldn't be disappointed. um, if you have not seen Casey's review of the film, highly recommend it. Uh, hey, what's going on? Marty is in the house. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. We're going to be talking with Larry, the horror cat dad. In fact, the doorbell just rang. The doorbell's rang, so we're going to get this party started a little early tonight because we never let anybody wait. We go get them, and then the party can start. And so let's do this. Yeah, this could be a lot of fun. Ta-da!
How you
Uh,
doing?
I I have a golden rule, and that is anytime a guest gets here, whenever time they get here, we immediately jump in and have fun. So we are live already, and people are already coming in and saying hello. Anthony's here, and Marty's here, and Russell is here. Um,
Hey, everybody.
that's right. And you have a pug?
No, that's Matt. I think he's
Oh yeah,
referring to
he was
Matt.
here. I'm not sure if he's still here. I'm not so sure if he's still here. I know he came by earlier and dropped that off, but you know how it is, the UK, they're 5 hours ahead of us. So, but Jim is here. That's good. Now it's dark. Row
Hey, Jim. How's
18,
it going?
row 18, plot 20. I had so much fun with that. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Um,
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna hang out and chill and talk horror. We're gonna talk cats. I want to say thanks to everybody who came out yesterday for the show with Sean Murray, film composer Sean Murray. We had a lot of fun with that. I don't know if you saw that one yet, Larry, but that was one of my more fun ones. I have to admit. Um, Sean is a hell of a guy. Um,
Yeah, yeah. His catalog of music is great. That's why
yes,
I'm so like I love scores and everything. So that's why when I was in the chat, I just you know I'm always fascinated with people like that can compose music and everything.
me too. I'm a very much a score guy. I mean, that really moves the movie for me. Um, like I've always said this, the one time that absolutely, probably the one movie that benefited the most from having just an absolute kick-ass score was It Follows. That
Yeah,
movie
that's a good one.
that movie is not nearly half as powerful as it is without that score. And it's just pure. It's just evidence that you can have a good. You can, and I've seen this happen too. I've seen where it's like it's a good movie, it's a good story, good acting, and then the score sort of wimpy.
Yeah, that unfortunately that's what happens sometimes with where a movie's like really really good, and then I mean I can give you a good example. I feel like the first Dune film, the remake,
Okay.
Hans Zimmer is one of my favorites, but I feel like compared to some of the other stuff he's done, I feel like his first Dune was kind of like it's a lot more noise.
Underwhelming.
It seemed like so.
A little underwhelming.
Yeah, but the second one is good. I like his. I think he did a better job on the second film.
More people come in. Have you ever heard of Civet Coffee? No, no, but that
Mm.
sounds good. There's Mr. Dan and Horror walked in. 101 Bronson, Charles Bronson.
Hey Jeff, how's it going, Mr.
Yeah.
Dan?
I've been seeing a lot of Charles Bronson lately come through my feeds. Um, but the one thing I've been starting to see a lot more, and I'm sort of glad of it because of all the things that I love about Charles Bronson, the one thing that really stuck with me more than anything else is his love affair with his wife, Jill Ireland. Now, Jill Ireland never gets talked about anymore because she's been dead. She was dead for decades.
Mm.
I think he outlived her by 20 years or something. She died really young. She died of breast cancer, but that was a love. I was one of the better Hollywood love affairs. Um, and there's a great movie that they did together called From Noon Till Three. I'm sure Mr. Bronson down there knows exactly the film I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That's a
Jeff is a huge Brunson aficionado. Even westerns. I mean, a lot of stuff. I mean, Jeff, he's got a lot of good stuff. If you haven't checked out his channel, definitely check it out.
Definitely, yeah. I've seen him in other. I've seen him. I've seen Jeff in a lot of chats, and I always know that whenever I think Charles Bronson, as far as in our community goes, that's who I always think of. Always think of there's our resident, there's our resident expert. Anybody wanted to know if you want to know anything about Charles Bronson, go see him. It's sort of like with Casey and Ben from Cadaver Club and Interweb Kaiju. If you want to know kaiju movies, you go to them because they know it. Um, and Mr. Dan in horror, he knows everything.
Yeah,
And
Mr. Dan's definitely knowledgeable on a lot of stuff too.
so, I guess obviously, we know your favorite, and that's horror. Horror seems to be your wheelhouse. But do you like other movies besides horror?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with a lot of. I mean, I'm a child of the '80s, so was a huge Star Wars kid growing up, and loved '80s action. You know, '80s. I mean, just those old school '80s movies. I love comedies. I mean, I love old movies. I mean, if it's a good movie, I'll more than likely I like it. But it's just horror has just been a lot more of a staple in my life without even really knowing it growing up. Because growing up for the longest time, I was just like Star Wars action movies, comedies, like those were my favorite types of films. Um, yeah, but I blame it on my mom and my cousins and everything like that because they always had horror movies going on at their houses. So,
Um, and Jeff did mention, he says, absolutely, Patrick, definitely the best collaboration between Bronson and Ireland from Noon Till Three. The romance is definitely on full display there. They truly loved each other, that's for sure. They really did. She passed away in '89 with breast cancer. Yep, and he never was the same. Charles Bronson was never the same after that. You could tell in his movies, his acting, he was there and he was making a check, but the passion that had he exhibited in his roles, it wasn't there anymore. I mean, you go back and watch some of the, like, come on, think about it. If you really think about it, you can easily see that, when he's doing all those Death Wish movies, and you're looking at that going like, that's not Charles Bronson. He always had more quality work than that. The first two were good, but after that was just all about just staying alive. Just getting a paycheck, and because
mhm.
it was a that there's no joy in his acting. I mean, you could obviously see it probably more than anybody else that I've seen in that situation where they lost a loved one or what have you. I think Charles Bronson showed it the most on camera than anybody else. There's been plenty of performers that have lost a wife or a husband, but I guess that's the reason why they're great actors in a sense, is that they could cover it up a little bit. But Charles Bronson, he just didn't give a shit. He said, "Hey, my heart's broken. It is what it is. You either accept that if you're here watching a movie or not. I'm not." It's almost like he was not there. He was there for himself, and he didn't really care about anything else. He was just like, if people gave him bad reviews, he didn't care because it was he didn't he just didn't care about what he was doing. He was just getting paid for it. And that's really his. Now I'm not sure if Jill or Charles had any children. I don't think they had any kids. I could be wrong.
That I don't know.
Mhm.
Again, you know, Jeff could probably answer that question. Like I said,
Yeah.
he is like a huge Bronson aficionado. I know what you mean though, because I mean, when you lose someone that close to you, I mean, it's like a part of you is just gone, you
Yeah.
know. So it's
You
like
never
at that
you never
point,
get it back. You never
yeah.
get it. I'm no doubt in Larry's movie knowledge, but where the amazing mofo but the amazing mofo excels in its collection. The son of a witch deeply has surpassed me in figures, and he only started collecting around 2020. So you collect figures too, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
let's see if he has the holy grail of collectibles. There's one holy grail out there. This is how I know when people actually watch the show, Larry,
Hmm.
because if they watch the show with any regularity, they know the figure that I want, right? Like I have commented on it over and over and over. In fact, I bring one guest onto this show twice a year just to talk about this one figure.
Hmm. Okay.
I bring her on twice a year. Come on in, hang out with us. And then once she gets here, then it's all about the one figure. Like, did you find one yet? Did you find me a used copy yet? No. Um, but we'll ask Larry. See, look at see the professor knows. See, look at the professor. He goes down there. Black figure Funko Pop. That is it. Damn it. Now, do you have a Black Phillip Funko Pop?
I do not.
Oh,
Only reason being is because I don't collect Funkos too much. Like I'm very selective. I feel like
you can get one. You can have one on your shelf. And if you do, well, actually, you could have two because if you find one, that first one goes to me. The second one can go to you. But no, that is the grail figure that I'm looking for. It's a Funko Black Phillip, and
hmm.
I bring Christy from Nightmare Toys over here, and that's what we talk about. We talk about Black Phillip. Uh, let's see.
So
It says
maybe
Larry has an amazing NECA figure collection. I have a handful of them myself, but definitely pales in comparison to his. Yeah, I don't have any. I don't know. No, I don't have any NECAs. All my stuff got given to me. I think I bought one figure. I bought one. I bought a Jet Jaguar.
oh nice.
Yeah, that was it. Everything else, people have been very kind and either send it to me, or left it to me or what have you. But I know figures are very, very popular. And how many do you have?
Um at, at this point it's like I'd have to like catalog and count
So
them all.
Larry will leave the show right now. He'll come back in 2 hours, and then we'll see. What was the first figure that you got?
When I started collecting again, because I had figures before, but it was like I didn't have the resources back then to really collect, so I was very selective on what I picked up.
Right.
But the first figure that I would say kind of got me back into it is a figure that my wife got me. It was a Mondo creature from the Black Lagoon. It's like
Uh,
a big one, and I had been waiting for. I'm a huge Universal Monsters fan, especially creature from the Black Lagoon. So I was waiting for Mondo to release the rest of them. Like I was just hoping that they would release the rest of them just so I can have those. It wasn't really, but since couple years went by, I never saw it come up. So then all of a sudden, here comes NECA, and I started seeing those, and I'm like, well, you know, and that's where it all started, really from
See,
there.
that's what kills me is like you think that they would, they sell out they sell out of a figure, they sell out of a model. They go like, wow, we made 5,000 of them and they went really fast. Okay,
Mhm.
awesome. And you would think that they would turn around and say, well, let's make up another 5,000. The demand's there, and we don't have to overload the market. We're not going to make like 50,000 like Beanie Babies does. We could do another 5,000 or another 2,500. Um, but it's like with the Funko, it's like I see Funkos from everywhere. I see them from everywhere, and it's like, and I hear that, because I'll go in there, I'll look, and I'll see what they have. Black Phillip is the only Funko Pop that I know of that has sold out, and they have never remade. They have never reissued it.
Hmm.
It's the only one that I know of. It's
Hmm.
just like I'm just like, of all the ones that you could, all the ones that you could, like not resell. I mean, I can give
Yeah.
you a ton of them that you could not, you would think that you would release at least one more for me. Uh, yes, that's Jeff is right. This is the rabbit hole because I was after Ben from Cadaver Club. I was sitting there going like, "Are you gonna go get the Godzilla? Are we gonna when the Godzilla movies come out? Are you gonna go after them? Are you gonna collect all the Funko Godzillas?" And he says, I'm not going. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. No, no, he's not. No. So right now he's making plans to make a 25-foot Gigan. So
Nice.
yeah, I like to go in that rabbit hole. All right. Hey, Stephen, how are you? How are you? Yeah. So how many? So you don't know exactly how many figures you have number wise. But you said you collected earlier from before. But is it hard to go down that rabbit hole? I mean,
Yes,
it is, isn't it? How
it
how
is.
how how do you limit yourself from doing that? Do you and your wife have an agreement like? You get 2 or 3 a month and that's it, or how does that work out? Or your
Um,
wife is back there saying, "I love that guy." I'm
Pretty
trying.
much. No, I mean it's one of those things where like a lot of the stuff I get. I'm a really big. I shop around and I do a lot of searching and a lot of research. And if it's something that I really, really want, then it's like, for example, there was last year I got a commando figure, and that figure is one of my I consider one of my grails, and I finally got it. And online, if you look on eBay, it's ridiculous. It's over like $100, and it's just me. I would check eBay and I would like search that, and then all of a sudden, a local store had one for less, way less. And so I
Yeah.
messaged them directly. I was like, hey, you know, do you still have this? Like, can you hold it for me? And I get paid this Friday, and I'll go to the store and I'll pick it up. And they were real cool and everything. And yeah, so I was able to get it. It's a waiting game for me, I think.
That's one thing too. I know I know the Black Phillips out there. I mean, if I really wanted one, but I think is I don't want to pay 75, $80 for a Funko Pop. I just can't justify that cost. And it's more fun just to talk about it. I think it's more of a talking point. One of these days I'm going to run across one. Someone's going to, I'm actually sort of surprised, to tell you the truth. I'm actually sort of surprised that are at the library bookstore. And I'm going to suggest this to the lady next week too, because I got her to start reselling VHS tapes. Our local library they have a little bookstore, and they were doing VHS tapes. They got rid of them. Like people donated them, they were getting rid of them. And I told her, this you should really keep them because they will sell for you. I mean, physical media shrinks and attrition comes into play, people are going to be looking for what you have, and they'll pay money for it. And
Yep.
so I think next week I'm going to actually do that. I'm actually going to talk to them and saying, do you get anything weird like the Funko Pops? And if they do, I'm going to tell her, says, you need to keep those. People will buy those. So it's not just books. The mighty zombie just walked through the door. Yeah.
I can't steal his hard hand, so I can't.
Flip your hard hands. Flip your hard
There you
hands.
go.
That's right. Hey Don, how are you? How are you? Let's see. Let's see. Jess mentioned, don't get me started, Larry. Still, one of my biggest regrets is not getting that John Matrix Commando figure. Yeah, why wouldn't he get that one? That would be dope.
Well, I
Um,
mean that's the thing. So like me, I went down a rabbit hole, and I was just like, okay, well, what has NECA done? I even had I have older figures that I didn't even realize when I got them that they were NECA figures. Like I have two Castlevania figures that I bought for like $20 back in the day. I was gonna buy the whole set, but again, I didn't have the resources, so I was like every few weeks I'd buy one, because that's all I could afford. And then
right,
so now I see them at cons, I see them online, like they're worth like easily over $100, easily. And I'm just like, I got these for 20.
yeah,
So like it's just like some of these older figures, it's just like as long as they're taken care of. I mean, me, that was the other thing for me. I don't open anything.
right.
Um or I didn't. Now I do, obviously for the channel, but anything plastic like like these guys, anything in this sort of like packaging, I won't open. And those were some other grails too, the ones that I have here on my wall, the Dawn of the Dead NECA figures. Same thing. I mean, I started buying those little by little because it was like I went down a rabbit hole, and Dawn of the Dead is, art is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, up there with Night of the Living Dead. You know,
Right, right. And I do believe the witches, as far as as far as their horror movies go out, I think the witch is definitely my favorite A24 film, and I just loved it. I watched that movie. I said the witch is it's dope. Black Phillips just fucking stole that movie. The first figure I ever got though was from Mark of Horror. Mark of Horror sent me he sent me one. He sent me a he sent care packages out to people, and he sent me one, and I got a figure. And I'm like, okay, it's like I've seen them out there, but it's like it never even occurred to me. And next thing I know, that's I look up there. It's like I got Bruce Lee, I got Ben Grimm, I got a Ouija shark sent to me.
oh wow,
Named, yeah, I got a Ouija shark named Brett sitting over there. Once in a while, I'll bring him down here, and he'll hang out with us and do a show. I got I got Batman and Robin. I got Sam from Trick or Treat. That one there was really cool. That's probably my favorite figure that I got. Uh,
nice,
that was a gift, and very kind hearted member of the community. David. Oh God. Uh, David Ahor, he sent me a copy. He sent me a figure of that. That was very cool. But I know a lot of people do love them. And in fact, Jeff was mentioning that, or who was it just mentioned that Megan and actually, I'm thinking, where did that go? Megan and John Carver from Thanksgiving got figures.
hmm
That is crazy. Now, is only John Carver get a figure? Did all the other characters get figures too?
As of now, John Carver, they did do a plush of like the guy that gets beheaded in the turkey suit. They did a plush of that,
I wanted to see
but
the one with the girl in the oven.
no, they didn't make that yet. They didn't. And I mean that I haven't seen. But then again, NECA has a lot of stuff up their sleeve. I mean, you
Now, if
know,
that comes out. I expect you to come tell me that came out. I would probably have to bend over backwards to get that one. I would get that one. That one I would get.
I'll
That would be
definitely I'll definitely let you know. I'll let
yeah.
you know if I see it.
Now, do you and your wife go out together when you go out? I mean, how often do you go out hunting? Do you go out like every weekend? Does your wife go with you? Where do you usually go to hunt figures and movies?
So the originally when I first started, I was hitting target. I was just hitting the targets because they had a lot of cool stuff. They still do, but a lot of the stuff now, um, now more so, I pre-order from, you'll if you watch my videos, a lot of my videos, they're from like this place called the Last Toy Store. They're an online retailer, and they're a mom and pop shop, similar to Nightmare Toys. And I've gotten stuff from Nightmare Toys as well. I've seen them at Frightmare and stuff like that, so I've picked up stuff from them. And no, just those people have been like super cool. They've even gone out of their way to. There was this one that I had wanted, but it was a Target exclusive for a while. It was the Spider Gremlin. So they
Okay.
found it at their Target and they let me know, and then I just basically paid them I basically paid them cost plus shipping, and so it's like I bought the figure from them. So it's just people like that are really, that's why I buy from them all the time. Or I pre-order from them whenever something comes out, because it takes the anxiety out of hunting. But mostly,
Right.
like, if
Oh my gosh, the hunting is the best part, isn't it?
yeah, it is sometimes. I mean, I do it at cons. At cons, it's like even fun. Like, it's more fun when I do it at a con. The hunting aspect for me, trying to go from like a Target to like different stores, that's the part that gets kind of like gives me anxiety. And like, and not only that, but then you got the scalpers and you got like, you know, stuff like that. I mean, I have friends that go to Walmarts and do all these other places, and they're like, "Oh man, they never have anything." And I'm just like, me, I've been lucky to where, like, if I go to a con, I come across, a grail or something that I really want, and then I give them an offer, and a lot of the times they're cool with it. And then sometimes I just luck out like hardcore on eBay with auctions and stuff like that. I mean, I
Yeah.
think, to give you an example, I lucked out on the NES Batman. It's basically Michael Keaton's Batman, but as like his video game variation. Like, one person had bid on it, and I got it for like $25, and that's like an old figure, you know. So it's just, sometimes you just luck out. You just got to play the waiting game. And the hunting, yeah, it is fun, especially at cons. I like doing it at cons because there's so many different vendors, and you just, and it's like right there. You know what I mean?
And I got to be honest with you too. You know, the vendors at all the cons I've been to, they've been extremely fair.
Hmm.
I've never run across anyone that has tried to jack the prices up, you know? The prices they've always charged were pretty much there. And I've seen them where they even lower the prices, like if you had if you had something in your hand, especially for young kids or something, and maybe it's $10, but the kid only has eight, and the vendor will take that eight. I've seen that many times. I've commented to the person running the shop. I said that was a very kind thing that you did, and then I would make it a point to buy something from them because I like the way they're doing business. Um, I can understand going to a con, and I haven't been to a con in over 10 years. It's probably been about 15 years since I've been to a con, so I'm not sure if that mentality is still there
Hmm.
because the con is just massive, huge now. I mean, they're so much bigger. I mean, before we had San Diego Comic Con, which was the granddaddy of them all, but
Hmm.
now every other con around, it's pretty massive. And if you don't really like a lot of big crowds, a convention can be a little bit intimidating. It could be a little bit like you can't breathe because there's so many people around. Um, what's it like? Are you based in Texas then? I take it.
Yes, sir.
So what's it like going to a convention like Texas Frightmare? I mean, what are some of the pros and forgive me, what are some of the pros and cons of going to that con?
Back in so it's kind of a long story, but not really. So 2014, That's when I started going to cons. That year alone, I my first one was Texas Frightmare, and there was that one, and then I went to some comic palooza, Dallas fan days. I mean, I went to a whole bunch of them in 2024, and then in 2020, or in 2014, sorry, and then in 2015 I started doing it again. But the one con that I really had a great time with, and then within the first 3 years of me going to cons, I was like, "You know what? The one constant one that I always had a good time at was Texas Frightmare." Just the people, the vendors, just the guests, like the celebrities and stuff like that. Everybody's just so cool and so like so approachable. Like you don't have to just talk to them at their table. You see them walking around and they're just so like open to talking to you and stuff like that. You know,
That's because they're fans. They're actors, sure, they're celebrities, sure, but they're just like us in the fact that they're also fans. They want to go see what's out there. They want to go, like whenever I went, I mean, there was a couple of times I saw a couple of the actors. They were out there talking to an independent book, independent comic maker or whatnot, and they'll be sitting there and watching them draw or something. They're fans, as well. I think that makes it, having them to be more accessible. I think it really helps. I think it really helps all around. I mean, as long as people are not stupid around them, like a lot of people, or like some people say, don't fanboy me. Yeah, don't be sitting there like, "Oh my god, I can't," dude, they're just people. They just happen to have a cool job, but they're just people like you. They're no
yeah,
different. So, um, but it is fun though to see them walking around a convention though.
yeah.
Um,
It is really great. You know, my first Frightmare, I was sitting there with a buddy of mine, who went, and he was the one that dragged me to it, and that was the first year I got to meet Romero. So for me, meeting Romero was like, the biggest highlight at the time. And then it's just like we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, Robert Patrick and his name is escaping me right now. Herschel from The Walking Dead.
oh,
Um,
yeah,
uh,
Scott Wilson. Scott
yeah,
Wilson.
Scott Wilson. And then I was like, "Hey," and then he walks by and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And then Scott Wilson, he just came up and fist bumped me. You know, I was just like, I was like, Herschel fist bumped me. I was super excited, and he was hanging with Robert Patrick. Robert Patrick. Hey guys,
Wow, that's fun. That's
just
fun.
just experiences like that. It's just, and people are just so cool. And I mean, I have another amazing story about Lance Hendrickson. He signed a photo for me, and then as soon as I walked away, I noticed it got smudged. And Lance was like, what happened?" And it's like, "Oh, I don't. It got smudged, but it's fine." He's like, "No, no, give me that. I'll give you another one." And I was just like, "No, it's okay. It's just up here." And he's like, "No, no, no. I don't want to give you trash." And then he took that one
Wow.
back, re-signed it, and he signed another photo and he gave it to me. And he's just like, "Just be careful with that one." I was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, no problem, sir. Thanks so much." You
Now,
know
did he give the first one to you with the right hand, and then the second one with you with the left hand?
that I didn't notice. I didn't notice that.
Because
I didn't notice that because I was just so
you know
like I
Ace
was just,
because Ace Hanley can shoot with both hands, right?
the what?
Ace Hanley can shoot with both hands.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I didn't pay attention to that because it was just like I was just so like, "No, no, sir, it's okay." And he was like, "No, no, this." And it really just kind of like the experience of him doing that was like I was blown away by that. That I was just like, "Oh wow," he didn't have to be that cool, and do that. But ever since then, it's like nobody ever says don't say anything bad about Lance Henriksen, man, because he was super cool. And he was super nice. Anybody that sees him in the crowd, like, he'll take pictures with him and everything.
Um, Jeff mentions here, Lance Hendrickson always seemed to be like a very cool guy, very cool and nice guy. That's a great story, Larry. Very cool of him to do that. I agree. And Don Zombie just rescued you. He says,
Yeah, Quick and the Dead.
yeah. So I asked him who Ace Hanlon was, and then there's Don Zombie to the rescue. That's right. Fantastic movie too. Fun movie. Uh, yeah, that's I think the only really big con story I have is, I went, I knew that John Saxon was coming, so I went and got a special edition of Enter the Dragon, and
Uh,
I went and I went to look for him, and I was like, I admit, man, I saw him there, and I'm like, man, this is so cool. I'm gonna go get John Saxon's autograph, and it was really strange as I went over there to his table, and he was off the main drag. which I was actually sort of grateful for in one sense. But he was sitting, his table was sitting next to Julie Newmar's, who played Catwoman in Batman.
Hmm.
Julie Newmar was absolutely at home, and she was lovely and gracious, and she had those fantastic legs even at that age. Um, John was really nice too, but he looked absolutely bewildered. He he was just like he had that deer caught in the headlights look, you know, and so he go up there and you say, can I go ahead and can you please sign this? And he was very gracious and he says, he goes, what would you like? And I said, you want to bet? Because that's his line in the movie, here in Enter the Dragon. So you want to bet?
Hmm.
Oh, he always said he said he wrote that in there. Says you want to bet Roper. Man, I was geeked.
Nice.
I was geeked. I was like, okay, this is cool. Um, yeah. Everybody's commenting about Lance Henriksen. Shit, Lance Henriksen. Yeah, that guy's done everything. We were talking
Hmm.
yesterday about Arnold Vosloo with
Yeah.
Sean Murray, and we're talking about how he played Lance's main bad guy in Hard Target.
Yep. Love that
Hendrick.
movie.
Yeah, of course, Lance Henriksen probably most famous for Alien, probably I would think.
Yep. Definitely
Uh,
for sure. I mean, but
type
I
of
mean, you think about it, it's like, near dark. I mean, even the original Terminator, in fact, he was supposed to, there's old sketches of him. He was originally going to be the Terminator. Like if you look it up, you'll see like there's actual like storyboard art where it has almost his like likeness and physique.
Oh, that now is that because what came out first, the Terminator or Alien? I think Alien came out first, didn't it?
Yeah, well, if you're talking Ridley Scott's Alien, that came out in the '70s. If you're talking James Cameron, where he came out, that was after. That was in '80.
Okay. Well, that's probably where they got that from. They probably thought that since he did it for since he did an Alien, he'd be a good a T-800 in Terminator. Glad that didn't work out though. The one time I was going to say that was on one time I'm glad he didn't get that role because then we wouldn't have got Arnold. Um,
Yeah, I
Good
mean, but
Gold,
that's why.
Hard Target,
That's,
Stone Cold, Near Dark. Yep, Stone Cold.
yeah, love that movie.
That I have so I have so much fun with Stone Cold. That movie is so goofy. So are you a big action adventure guy too? I mean, do you like it? Do you enjoy those movies as much as you do horror?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, that's why like I used to watch like Rambo. I love Commando. I love that movie. Uh, Rambo First Blood Part Two. Just all those like old school like '80s action movies. Just those were my cup of tea as well. And then some of the martial arts movies as well. Again, a lot of the stuff I saw at my cousin's house. It was either like I'd go over and they always had like either horror movies playing, mostly horror because that's where I saw most of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, and and then they would have like either Chin Chin Chong or they'd have like some action movie, and then I'd be at my uncle's in Corpus, and it would be like they would have Rambo or an Arnie movie like Running Man, or they'd have RoboCop or something like that. They always had those types of movies or comedies, one or the other. But yeah,
Mr.
I mean, I grew up on that stuff.
Mr. Dan Horror said Johnny Handsome had Hendrickson and Scott Wilson in it. The first time I ever saw Scott Wilson was in G.I. Jane. That movie's badass too. It's a badass movie.
The
Um,
the
did you
first
have
movie
a
I ever saw him with was Judge Dredd with Stallone.
oh, okay distinctive voice? As soon as you heard him
Hmm.
talking, you instantly knew. What was your first horror movie that you remember watching, or better yet, what was the first horror movie that you watched that scared you or made you fall
Uh,
in love with the genre?
so so the first horror that I got, well, I mean, it wasn't a movie. It was actually I tell this story all the time. It's the Orange books, the Universal Monsters Orange books. They used to have them at my elementary school library. I
Okay.
first one I picked up was Creature from the Black Lagoon, and I was so like into it. I took it home and I showed my mom, and my mom was like, "Well, this is a movie," and I'm like, "Well, this is a movie," and then yeah, this is a movie, and then I went and I started seeing the other ones that they had at the school library, brought those home, and then my mom started showing me those Universal Monsters, and that's where I guess the seeds were planted for. I've always loved the Universal Monsters. Those were my favorite. And I never was scared of them. For me, it was like I loved it. I ate it up. Movie that scared me. My first movie that ever probably scared me, I would say, was it was probably the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. You don't hear very people say that. You don't hear people. You don't hear people. I don't hear people comment how that was like that movie was scary. I mean, they always say the other movies, but I'm with you, Larry. I think the first Nightmare on Elm Street was definitely the most scariest. I remember sitting there watching, and when he came down the alleyway and his arms got
Hmm.
long, dude, I was like, okay, that's freaky as hell. That was freaky as hell. Uh, um, it was more freaky than the actual part about the violence. It was just seeing some of the boogeyman come down, and you see
Hmm.
his arms get longer and longer, and it was just like there's something really like that ain't right.
Or him coming out of the wall, like how it stretches,
Right.
that effect and stuff. That all that stuff was the creepy stuff. Like all that stuff is what scared me. See, oddly enough, I wasn't really like Exorcist. What I wasn't that didn't scare me. In fact, that movie made me laugh a lot when I was a teenager. But the thought of the possession would freak me out when I was younger. That would scare me.
Now, if you were watching, if you rewatched The Exorcist today, would it scare you today?
Well,
No.
no, that's why, like, in high school, like, I would watch it and I'd start laughing. I
There were some parts of it that I laughed too.
Mhm.
Because, but I mean, I rewatched it not that long ago, and I was so impressed with it. I think I was more impressed with it rewatching it, you know, 40 years than from the first time I watched it. And I was just like, man, this is really good. This is
Yeah, well,
really
there's as you get older, I mean, at least from my perspective, it's like when I go back and rewatch a movie, say for example, like The Exorcist, you appreciate what they had, or even bigger as I got older, The Thing. The Thing has easily become one of my favorite horror movies. It used to be Halloween a lot. I used to really love Halloween. I still do, but I mean, in the Carpenter, that one just the thing is just so amazing. Just the paranoia and the isolation, I mean the effects, I mean everything is just so it's a masterpiece in my opinion.
It's like, are you more of a standalone horror movie fan, or are you a franchise guy?
I mean it's I would say I'm like 50-50 because I mean just if you see the cap I'm wearing, I mean I'm a Jason fan. I'm also actually from the top three for me it would probably be like Michael, Jason, and then Freddy. Freddy is like I love Nightmare 3. That's my favorite one. I feel like after 3, well, really after 4, that's when it starts like really going downhill. New Nightmare is really good. I thought it was a good return
Yeah, I
to,
love New Nightmare. New Nightmare, that's my second favorite one after the first one.
mhm.
So interesting, it's so original. That was such an original story, and like that is interesting. New Nightmare, yeah, that's one of the in the franchise that gets slept on a lot. But I like New Nightmare. I thought it was like I said, I thought it was very interesting. And people have done it afterwards. I've seen movies with they use that same plot line in their movies, but I never saw it before until I saw New Nightmare. Like, yeah, let's make this real for our actors. And I was just like, that's so interesting. How okay, that's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah,
Um,
as for franchises though, I mean, for me, like I'm not big on the Scream series. I'm not big on the Saw series. I feel like okay, now we're just I look at it like Fast and the Furious. It's
yeah,
just okay. Now they're just churning them out. In my
yeah.
opinion, again, that's
Oh,
cool that there's people that love those films, and I'm happy that they enjoy them. But for me, it's just I don't know. I feel like after a certain point, like example, the Saw films, all it is, it's about the traps. It's not really about the story. It's not really about what's going on. I feel like they kind of lost their way after three.
I yeah, at 3 killed me because I really liked Dina Meyer's character, and then they killed her off, and that really killed my interest. The first 2 were just masterpieces.
Yeah, they're
They
really
really
good.
were. The first 2 were just absolutely brilliant. The second one, oh my god, I mean, it was just an amazing movie. The third one was really good, and then they killed Dina Meyer's character, and then I was just like, "Eh," and I really didn't get into the Saw after that. I didn't really get into him at all until, Spiral came out.
I haven't seen that
Spiral
one.
Spiral is worthy. It's worthy. It's very good, and so I'm sitting there watching that, and I'm like, "This is tight." Chris Rock brought he basically to me, he saved Saul franchise because he
Hmm.
went there and he says, I want to produce this, I'm going to bring this up, I'm going to do this. He brought it up. The interest that was still there for the Saw movies, he regenerated it, he reignited it. And I thought it really sucked that he did do that. Spiral came out, people talked about it, people watched it, and then they said, well, we're going to make another Saw 10. And then they went ahead and then they just like dismantled his whole work by sitting there saying, "Oh, we're going to go back." I can't. For the most part, I can't stand prequels. I can't stand it. I think it's lazy because
Yeah.
we already know what's happening. We already know what's going to happen.
Hmm.
You're asking me to go there. You're asking me to go watch John Kramer. This is how John got created. I already know he got created. We got 8 movies that showed that. Why do I need to go back there to see what he did? He's already done it. We were keep it going, keep it going.
Yep.
That's why I love the Spirals. They kept the story going, and I'm thinking to myself when I saw 10 and I said, the twist coming. I had hoped that they would bring that from Saw 10. I was hoping they bring that all the way around to the end of Spiral and connect them and go forward from there. That's as a horror fan, that's what I would like to see. Because and it sort of sucks to say this, and I'll probably get some heat for it, but Tobin Bell's 82, 81 or 82. How
Hmm.
I mean, this was the thing that killed Halloween. It's like Michael Myers is supposed to be, he's supposed to be a human being,
Hmm.
and he's 65 years old in that movie. And yet he takes a beating like no man has taken a beating, yet he jumps up there and he goes on his merry way. And it just kills all credibility. It starts becoming a parody.
Yeah.
And then it's like that's the thing. That's what killed Nightmare on Elm Street. It's like it started off really strong, but then all of a sudden Freddy starts popping off jokes, and everybody's going there to see
Yeah.
the joke. And it's like, and people forget that he was a child killer in the original one. He
Yeah.
was a child killer. When is that ever fun? They totally got away from that. It's like
Hmm.
you're supposed to be laughing at this guy's jokes, but he's a child killer. That's a big disconnect for me. Even as a horror fan, that's a big disconnect. Um, which is
Yeah. I
why.
mean,
Yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, no, go ahead, sir.
Um, that's why I had high hopes when they brought back Nightmare. When I heard they were going to cast Jackie Earle Haley,
Hmm.
uh, because like who's going to replace Robert England? I mean, because he's getting up there in age two, and he
Hmm.
just go through all the makeup and whatnot. And if anybody, he was perfect. Jackie Earle
Yeah.
Haley is perfect.
Yeah, that's the one thing I tell people about that film. The film itself, I didn't like it.
Right.
Um, he though, I thought if they wouldn't have done CGI on the makeup, if they would have just stayed strictly with practical effects, like I think on his makeup, I think it would have like looked way better. His performance I thought was really cool. The thing that really took me out of that movie from the get go, not just the bad acting, but the fact is you knew when a scare was coming. It was so loud. The music cues were so loud that they were like coming right up, like, okay, we're gonna scare you now, and then all of a sudden it would hit at a scare jump scare moment or whatever. And I was like, dude, this is trash. Like I was watching I saw the movie in the theater. I went to go see it because I was like excited, and then I was just like, what is this? Like you're trying to do beat for beat the original, and it it's not until later I saw it again, and I was just like, okay, well, the guy playing Jackie Earl Haley, I mean, Rorschach's pretty good in this, but just yeah,
He can't save everything. I mean,
yeah,
he gave
exactly.
it a game effort, but he couldn't save it.
Hmm.
Let's go to the chat real quick. Katie is here. Let me
Hey,
see.
Katie.
First horror movie that really got me was Return of the Living Dead. Yeah, that's a powerful movie. That's even today is a powerful movie. That does not. It has never lost its punch. Like,
Yeah.
like to me, just like a Exorcist. Still has not lost its punch. Thankfully, the sequel showed how to stop trox and zombies. That's the one with Patricia Tallman and Tony Todd, right? Uh,
Which one? Part three?
they did the remake in 1990 of The Living Dead.
Oh,
Oh, wait a minute.
the
You're talking about the other. I get them confused. I thought you were talking about the Night of the Living Dead remake. Return of the Living Dead, the horror comedy one with Leanna
hmm
Quigley. Yeah.
yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Send more
I think for a
cops.
lot of horror fans, that was probably our first time we ever saw boobs on the screen. Uh,
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
that's a good question. Let me ask you that. That's a horror question we can ask.
Right.
What was the first pair of breasts you saw on a movie? Who they
Uh,
belong to?
I'm trying to think because it was either someone from it's probably someone from a Jason film. I saw more.
I can hear your wife back there and say, "What did he just ask you?"
Oh, it's no, it's all in here, sir.
Oh.
No, it probably would have been one of the Jason films because I saw those the most as a kid. Aside from I saw Nightmare films, but I think the Jason films, and I think that's why I'm more of a Jason Michael Myers fan because I feel like Michael Myers and Jason, I saw those the most as a kid.
I
And the funny thing about that, to kind of go off on a tangent, um, it's like I never had an issue with Halloween 3 as a kid.
Oh, I
You
love
know,
Halloween 3. Halloween
you
3 is
know.
my favorite. That's my favorite one of the trilogy of the series. As far as the Michael Myers one go,
Mhm.
Halloween 2 is my favorite. Halloween
Yeah,
2 is brutal. Hell yeah. That is some vicious kills in that son of a bitch. He walks up
yeah.
there and stabs that nurse and lifts her up like that. I
Lift
was
her up,
like,
yeah.
damn. And then the one girl up there in in the hot tub.
And the hot tub, yeah, that was a good one
Oh,
too.
he's baking her and coming up there. It's almost like he's putting a temperature into her. 160? Nope, not yet. I got to put it back in. That was rough, and it
Well,
was really sucked about it was the guys died quick. Like
mm,
that the girl gets killed in the hot tub. Her boyfriend gets killed really quick. He comes up there and okay, he's dead. She has to suffer. It's like damn, that was rough.
oh,
The nurse being lifted up with on that knife. Oh, yikes!
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, the only reason why it was more brutal was because Carpenter said it's just like he didn't want to do another film, and he was like, okay, well, let me basically up the stakes, and he got a lot of flack from the critics for that, for going from Halloween, where you hardly see
Yeah,
any violence, really. If you really look at that film now, I
yeah.
mean, a lot of that
It's
stuff
PG
is
13.
tame. Yeah,
Yes,
you
PG.
know.
It's a PG-13 movie today. Quite
Mhm.
honest. Um, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I never really was. I'm sacrilege, but everybody knows this already. So I really wasn't a big Halloween fan. The first one, not no. I just wasn't. I never. It didn't scare me at all. It wasn't. It's not a slasher film. It's not a
Hmm.
slasher film at all. It's just it took so long. The pacing was wrong. I just but the second one got everything right. It was like whatever the first one didn't have, the second one had it in spades, and it's just like damn. And then the third one came out, and the third one was creepy as hell. And then I was like, okay. And then the fourth Halloween, I saw that, and I lost interest. I was like, that's it. That was it.
Y-
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I always remember I always remember going to the theater to see. I always make the joke, the Halloween featuring Paul Rudd. I always say that
oh
because
yeah, he was in one of them, right?
yeah, I went to the and he was playing Tommy Doyle in that one. And
God,
so so we went to the movie theater. My mom took me and one of my close friends, and I just remember just having fun with it. Like, the kills. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then like there's one where uh, he throws the dad into like a fuse box or something, and he's just like getting electrocuted until like his head just blows up. I just lean over to my buddy and I'm like, New England clam chowder from Ace Ventura. And he's like, "Is that the red or the white?" And I was like, "Well, clearly the red." And then we were just like back and forth. But it's just stuff like that. That's why
Is
a
it?
lot of films from back then they resonate with me just because like I have stories like that. You know what I mean?
Now we're talking about the first time they saw boobies. Erica Elenick, yep, and Under Siege, yep, she was
Oh
she,
yes,
yep, yep.
the cake
Let's see.
scene. Can't forget
I,
that.
I'm waiting for see Night Return of the Living Dead. Yep, I'm waiting for someone to first breast. Yep. Jeff says it was Under Siege. Mine was they like that question. What's the first pair of breasts you ever saw in a movie? Yeah, that's right. Mine was my first two belong to the same actress in two different movies. The first two time I ever saw breasts in a movie was Jenny Agutter in Logan's Run and then American Werewolf in
Mm.
London.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah.
I
See,
want to say I think the first pair, not horror movie, just first pair that I saw in a movie was probably Terminator, Linda Hamilton.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was probably the first that
See,
I remember anyway. And then after that, I can tell you it was like Revenge of the Nerds. Like it was like after that, it almost like it just started like rolling after that.
that's my pie. Good old Ted McGinley finally got himself a line. It's finally got himself a good line.
Hmm.
Uh okay. See, the professor can't remember his. Yes, because he saw so many. We see. Jeff mentions. Well, I'm surprised no one's mentioned this one here. I'm looking for one. I'm looking for two specifically, but I have not seen them yet. I'm sort of shocked actually about the first pair of boobs.
Hmm.
Let's see. Last night I saw you. Yes, thank you. Yes, you were mentioning Sean. Yes. Let's see. Rosanna Arquette in Nowhere to Run. That surprised me. I surprised me because she was a mainstream actress at the time.
Hmm.
And she did a topless scene, love scene with Van. That was a little surprising. Yeah, she was pretty.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah. Same as Terminator. Had a huge Linda Hamilton crush after that. Yep, I can see that. Let's see, Highlander 3. The one I was sort of surprised no one mentioned was Phoebe Cates from Fast Times.
Oh, Fast Times. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Even all these years later, people still talk about that. All right, you guys keep dropping those. You keep on dropping those movies. But let me ask you this. Let me ask you your opinion about this. Um, do you think the studios respect fans as
No.
far as? Do you think they respect horror fans? Do you think they respect horror fans more than any other genre, or no?
Um. Well, I mean, that's kind of like that depends, because I feel like with a recent just to bring up Scream again. I mean, just look at what's happened. They didn't want to pay Nev, so she didn't come back for six, and
Right,
then now it's like, well, they have no choice, right? They lost. I made the joke recently. It was just like, well, they lost all their actors, so now they got the cash to pay Nev to come back, right? You know,
right,
but now what are you gonna do for seven?
right.
All I
You
was
know,
saying,
you
like,
know, it's ironic. It's ironic that they weren't going to pay Nev what she asked for, but then when Jen Ortega hit, the Jenna was going to get twice of what Nev was going to get,
possibly
and because
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 she's the it girl right now.
yeah, yeah, yep. Um, I mean, do you think the studios? That's what I was asking about the respect to keep on throwing these movies at us, these franchise movies at us, and I just look at it and I'm like, man, they just it's not like saying they should listen to the fans, like, like, I got an idea, put it in the movie. But at the same time, it's like they just don't respect the fans, and the fact they just like, the one obvious to me was the Halloween. I mean, they had the first two movies came out and did decently, did really well, got well received.
Hmm.
Fans were talking, and it was almost like they did completely opposite of what everybody expected.
Yep.
And it was like, we're gonna do this because we're gonna make $100 million off you, or $200 million off you. We don't care what you say or how you feel. This is our last movie. We're gonna go ahead and do it the way we want to, and that's exactly what they did. Everybody hated that movie, but they got their money and made
Yep.
cash. Do you find a movie like that disrespectful as a fan? When you're sitting there, when you're watching that, did you feel like, damn, man, I got fucked? We all did. We're all sitting here watching this, and it's like they didn't do anything right.
Well, I mean, for starters, they didn't that last one didn't get my money. I saw it streaming. So my thing was, I when I first saw it, we're talking about Halloween Ends. When I first saw that one, I was like, okay. It made me think a little bit. So I was like, okay, that's some elements were interesting. The more I thought about it and the more I saw it, I didn't I don't have like the extreme hate that everybody else does for it, but I don't know what they were thinking with it. They
Yeah,
could have done so many different things. I mean, heck, me and my wife were talking about it, and I was like, man, if they would have tweaked the story, if they would have like introduced the Corey character in the second one, like, because at that time, like, I didn't like Halloween going into that one. I didn't like Halloween Kills because I was just like, well, this is basically just Michael's pissed off, and the whole evil dies tonight stuff, that kind of the whole hospital stuff really didn't sit well with me. I was just like, oh, what is this? I thought it was all like kind of like it didn't need to be there, and I just felt like they should have just, if they would have tweaked it, they could have made a better. They would have made a better second, third film. In fact, me and my wife, we went to go see the 2018 in the theater. We both loved it, and I was like, the way they pan down to like the Allison holding the knife at the end, we were already speculating, man, what if she's like the next, what if she
right.
goes crazy and she becomes a killer, like that would have been so cool, if they but they didn't do that, obviously. And now that I watch Halloween Kills, if as long as you fast forward all the hospital stuff, the movie's good. At least in my opinion. But yeah,
It went from being a good film to a decent short film, student film.
yeah, pretty
Uh,
much.
let's see. Let's see. Steven is commenting on one of his first breaths was Briggs Stevens and Naked Gun. Okay. Porky's. Yeah, Porky's had one. Let's see. Jeff says, sadly, I did see Halloween and in the cinema and was hugely disappointed. Um, so let me ask you guys in the chat. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you the same question I asked Larry. Do you feel the major studios respect us as do you think they respect the fans of these movies, or do they just see us as people paying for the next project? Do you come out of the theater? Do you feel like, wow, they you know they listened, like they listened to the fans, um, in some respects, like, in character development, and maybe, maybe story wise. To me, the only thing they got right, the only thing I wanted to see, and I didn't care about anything else but one thing in Halloween, and that is Laurie Strode lives. It's the only thing that mattered to me. It's like, well, I would like, and her daughter.
Hmm.
I would like seeing her daughter and her granddaughter. I would have liked to seen all three of them survive, because
Hmm.
none of them deserve to die. None of them. And I think I just feel like at the end of the day, they should have been allowed to all walk away from it,
Yeah.
because they were just victims. I felt really bad that they killed her daughter. It's like, wow. So even though she lives, what did you leave her to? Now she has to mourn the death of a daughter. It's a really it's a pyrrhic victory, I guess, if you're following Laurie Strode. It's like, yeah, she lived, but did she?
Yeah.
You know, um, And do you think that when do you think a franchise, in your opinion, what franchises do you think should just pull the plug? I mean, I almost feel like they all should and leave them alone for 20 years. I mean, is that a fair assessment? I mean, and do you watch a lot of independent horror yourself? Are you into independent horror, or do you like more of the franchises? I mean, I asked
Uh,
you if you're a franchise fan earlier, but are you first and
I'm
foremost a
half
franchise
and
guy?
half. I
Hmm?
mean, I'm an old. I mean, for when in regards to franchises, like I said, I mean, what are the big franchises that are really going on right now? Scream, Saw. I don't watch those. So I mean, when I hear the word franchise, it's me basically going back and rewatching like, Friday the 13th.
I was
Even the
thinking like
bat,
The
even the
Conjuring or Insidious or Chucky or that, like those,
yeah. So
the one guy who should have got a franchise and never did was Sam, which just blows my mind.
yep.
Blows my mind.
Still waiting for part two.
Yeah.
Um, no, I like independent horror too. I mean, did you ever see that movie, The Void? That movie is amazing.
Oh, Gaspar Noé. Yes.
That one's great.
Um,
I mean, total John Carpenter, The Thing. Just in the Mouth of Madness vibes. I mean, that movie is incredible. Um,
what are some of your favorite independent films if you and I had just met and I said, "Hey, I'm just getting into horror, give me five independent horror films. I'm not interested in the franchises. Tell me five independent horror films that I should watch."
does it matter from like any time?
No, you can go. No. So I know
Okay.
the beast the creature from the Black Lagoon would probably be number one, and that would be a great way to introduce horror to somebody.
So this creature from the Black Lagoon. I mean, just if we're doing independent horror, I would do High Tension, Audition. Um, Trying to think what else. The Void for sure. I would put that one definitely in there. Um, what's that other one? Record, the first Record. Did you ever see that one?
Which one?
Record
No,
or
not seen
Rec?
before. Oh, Wreck. Okay, I
Rec,
know the
yeah,
one that they remade in as Quarantine.
yeah.
Yeah, I have not seen. I have Quarantine somewhere, but I have not seen Wreck or any of those movies. I know that they're crazy good though.
Yeah, they're really good.
I know
I
the
would
Wreck movies are really good. I'm not so sure about the Quarantine movies though.
no, they're not.
Why
I
do
couldn't get.
why how is it that American filmmakers, when they go ahead and I mean, like, like Speak No Evil, right? Comes
Mhm.
out, I guess it's a Dutch film or what have you. Came out last year, super creepy, and then you hear, well, they're gonna remake it for the American market, and the first thing you do is like, oh shit, really? Please don't do that. Just please don't do that.
Well, I mean,
Why can't I mean, can you think of a good European or Japanese horror film other than maybe, and some people might say, "No, I don't think so." To me,
that they've redone or that
I
they've
didn't like I
Americanized
like
or
The Grudge was okay. The Grudge is okay. I thought The Ring was probably the best adaptation of a foreign film for me.
uh trying to think. I would say, yeah, The Ring's up there. I like the imagery of it. I like I mean, the whole thing of it always like I always thought it was cool the way she comes out of the TV and the color and all that stuff. Just like it captures you in that one. I mean
You know
that
what
it.
really amazes me? But you know what's really amazing about that movie? It's rated PG-13, and it was spooky as hell. It was
Mhm.
scary as hell. And because I've been seeing that a lot talked about recently, and it's like, every time Bloomhouse puts out a PG-13 movie, it's absolutely garbage. When he puts out an R-rated movie, it's actually pretty decent. And you sit there and wonder, wow, haven't you learned already? You can't do PG-13. Stick with R. People will pay for R-rated horror.
Well,
They
that
will
goes
pay.
back to the what your original question or your earlier question where you're saying, does the studio listen to the fans or do they respect the fans? because when you get a film that's PG-13, clearly they're wanting to get, you know,
Money,
as many people into the seats as possible at the cost of, you know, of the
everything.
actual at the cost of everything, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just stuff like that that just really that's what I will say this though, I mean, at least for the horror genre, they give directors a lot more they give like people, directors, writers better chances at something unique as opposed to big like the bigger studios or other genres. I feel like the horror genre gives a lot of like independent people or like unknowns better opportunity to do films and their stories, you know, as opposed to like the bigger studios and stuff like that. I remember back in the day when you'd see like so many movies in the theaters of so many different genres, and now it's just like all supposed to be like tent poles or like Oscar films, you know?
Right. They are actually, they're okay. They were talking about the, and still talking a little bit toward the end about first time he saw breast, all that. Let's see. The professor mentions studios have never ever respected fans. They're all like it's garbage, but that's what these people consume, and so here you go. I got it. You almost, of course, it's not true. And if he hears this, then I'm telling you this now. Jeff Go, Bloom, Jason Bloom, no, I don't think you. I don't think you anybody attends. Well, it's okay. Maybe that's not true either. I mean, for in this case, Jason Bloom, I don't think he intends to do that. It's almost like, well, I have to put out these movies in order to make money so I can fund the other ones. That's no problem. Our only problem is we're going to do PG-13. Do it right.
Hmm.
Like the biggest one, the biggest disappointing films I've seen from Bloomhouse, which just crushed me, was Fantasy Island. When I heard that he was going to make Fantasy Island, I was hyped. That's one of my. I grew up in the '70s, and I love that series. That's one of the very rarest TV shows that got better with age. Most TV shows that come and then they peak and then they peter out. But Fantasy Island was getting better and better, and so when I heard that they're going to remake Fantasy Island, I was hyped. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be so much. This is gonna be good." And then all of a sudden, then it came out, and it was just like, wow, this is gonna be so awful. And it was like it was garbage. And it's just like
Yeah.
I didn't understand with like I don't understand. I'm disconnected here. It's like why would you take a property that has a known plot? Everybody knows what that is. Why wouldn't you give what the people wanted? Yes, you could twist on it, sure, but you didn't even do anything. The only thing you had in common with the TV series is the name of the TV series. Nothing
Mhm.
else was there. I just felt really disappointed for that. It's like it was an opportunity and they just ignored it. It's like I'm sure people were telling you not to put that out. I'm sure they were, and or telling you it's a bad script. I'm sure they did. I don't know why you didn't pay a little bit more attention to it.
Well, for me, the biggest thing was, I mentioned earlier how I used to be a really huge, I used to be a huge Star Wars fan, like really, really big Star Wars fan, up until Last Jedi. It's just like after we got Force Awakens, I go into Last Jedi like super hyped and super ready. I mean, we had Rogue One, which arguably, in my opinion, is the best of the Disney films, the Disney Star Wars era. Rogue
Right.
One is the best one. But I went into it and I left that movie confused. I was just like, what did I just watch?
Yeah.
And my wife said it best. She said it's a Star Wars movie that did not feel like a Star Wars movie. And I was like,
Star Wars is
you?
interesting to me. Star Wars is really interesting to me because, and let's talk about that for a second. And I want to I'm going to go catch up with the chat because I want to hear their feelings about this too. Let's see. Best French extreme film. There's so many. Let's see. Jeff says, agree with me. Didn't want to see the daughter and granddaughter to die either. No, I really did not. It really turned me off about that when they killed the daughter. I was just like, why? She's innocent. They're all innocent.
Well, I was even bummed when they killed Toby Hess, the father. in the
Yeah,
first one.
I just
I was
I
like,
just didn't
no.
I just didn't I just didn't understand that. Friday the 13th is a success despite Paramount because they were embarrassed they released those despite they made major bank for them. Yeah, yeah, I mean, they should have ended it after the fourth one, to tell you the truth. They had they should have ended it after the fourth Friday the 13th.
I
Um,
don't know
but
because I mean, 7 is my favorite, and I mean,
Jason Goes to Hell,
no, 7 is New Blood with
Blue Blood.
Kane Hodder's first go
Okay.
at Jason.
I Jason Goes to Hell was really fun for me. Jason X is my favorite one of the franchise. It's not the best one, but it's my favorite. As my favorite Final Girls. Um, but I definitely love the first four. The first four were the best. But I just love Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell.
See,
Okay.
and for me, the one I dislike the most is Jason Goes to Hell.
What? Oh, we're
Yeah,
fighting now. We're dueling. Uh, let's see. They're talking about Selma Hayek and From Dusk Till Dawn. You want to see a great Selma Hayek movie? Everly. Holy shit! That's a hot ass
Everly,
Everly.
Everly.
Oh my
Hmm.
god, Everly, Everly,
When did that
direct
come out?
directed by Joe Lynch. I think it came out in, like, 2016.
Hmm.
That movie is bonkers. I love that movie. Let's see, Russell's mentioning, let's see, the French foreign film, Frontiers, I Saw the Devil. Yep, let's see, Mr. Dan would like to see a remake of Shutter. Um, let's see. You can thank Heaven's Gate and Fantastic Four for studios not letting directors have free reign. Yes, for sure. Ugh. And the funny thing is that Heaven's Gate is actually a decent movie. It's actually pretty good. I got Fantastic Four. No, thank you. Um, uh, let's see. I like this remake. Oh, he liked this remake of Shutter with Joshua Jackson. Joshua Jackson did a great movie called 1 Week. Highly recommend that. Everly was 2014. Um, yep, just mentioning he saw Everly and he quite enjoyed it. See, look at we're uncovering nuggets here for people because a lot of people don't know about these movies. Um, wow. Okay, so let me see if I can recapture that question I was going to ask you. And while I do that, what are some of the talk to us a little bit about some of the films that you've really been into of the last 5 or 6 years, independent wise.
Independent wise, let's see. Trying to think. Recent one that I mean, it's not recent. It's more like probably like 2 years ago. I liked the Rental. Did you ever see that one? With Dan Stevens. It's like an
Uh,
Airbnb quote, like
right.
sort of slasher sort of thing.
Are you talking about the one that came out on ISC Midnight?
I
Oh,
mean,
oh,
I s- I saw it on streaming. So for me, I don't know if it was IFC Midnight though.
he just said the magic words. He's redeemed. He's redeemed everybody. Yeah. I we need to cover that. I own that movie. I
Oh, the Rental.
Yeah, I own that one. And do you feel like you need how much physical media do you have? How many movies do you have in your collection?
I can't count. Because I mean, if I was to, I still have all my old VHS from when I was a kid. So I have all my old VHS. I have all my old DVDs. After so long, I stopped buying Blu-rays and I stopped buying DVDs because I was like, well, I'm just starting to stream everything. So now it's more of like I'm buying stuff that I already loved. You know, like I recently bought and I have it right here. Oddly enough, I bought this collection of Audition because I love this movie.
Right.
This is a crazy good movie. So I saw a cool set for it. I picked it up. You know, it's like the subspecies, the coffin thing. I mean, I love the majority of those movies minus part four. And you know, it's just that stuff is more of like what I'm buying again. But if I was to buy a newer movie or something like that, like if it's a movie I really like, then I'll buy it on Black Friday or at a decent price if I find it at a decent price.
Do you go out to look? Do you still go out? I mean, we asked you earlier about shopping for figures, but now that movies are hard to find now. I mean, there's just a few stores left that seem to be selling any movies at all. I know Big Lots is still there. I guess Family Dollar General still there. Hell, even 7-Eleven still have movies to sell. Not recent ones necessarily, but at
Wow.
least at least they're selling them.
Well, even some of the there's even some grocery stores in my area that sell them, you know? And I was like, "Wow, they got movies here now? That's interesting." But no, I used to be a huge, like, I used to raid, Big Lots back in 2008, 2009. I would just like, "What's this movie?" And I'd pick it up and I'd check it out. I haven't done it in a long time. I mostly either look online for stuff, or my biggest thing was Best Buy. A buddy of mine, we used to go every Sunday. We just go and see what's new coming out or what's on sale, and we just go raid Best Buy and find stuff. You
You know
know,
what's funny? You know what's funny is and this is I really truly believe this too. Best Buy has some of their stores are shutting. They're shutting down some of their stores. I really believe that the lack of physical media with their decision to stop selling it has hurt their bottom line. I really believe that.
I wouldn't be
Um,
surprised.
because it's like like I used to go to Target. I used to go to Target quite a bit, and one of the things that we do, we walk. I go in, or even when I was with my wife, we would go in there and we go through the store, and then then she go look at clothes, and I go over there and see what's new in the media. And but even then, I would still be able to go over there and pick up something once in a while. Once in a while, they would have a special or something like that. Um, and I used to go.
But
Just
see, but
a lot. I used to go actually toward the last 5 or 6 years. I would go just to see what the new movies were, and then I would just wait and go down to my video store and pick up the same ones that I would because I didn't always know what was coming out, so I would go to Target, see what was there, like, oh, okay, and then I go down to my local video store and I pick them up for a good price. But they don't do anything like that at all anymore. It's like now there's actually no reason for me to go to Target because everything that I need I could find cheaper elsewhere.
mhm. Well, see,
So
and that's the thing. Going back to like Best Buy, perfect example. I mean, Best Buy used to have like all these really cool releases for stuff. These special edition with extra, everything. I
yeah,
remember I got uh, Dawn, I got Diary of the Dead, like when it came out on DVD. They had the special edition that came with this book. There was when I bought Dodgeball, at Best Buy. If you bought the first editions, you got like some dodgeball headband. Like they had some gimmick with it. It's not just steel books. Like everything now is just all steel books at Best Buy.
right.
That was their. They kind of got away from like the cool releases with extra stuff, and I think that's what hurt Best Buy. A lot of these places, because even Walmart had their own exclusives. Like that's why I bought Hot Fuzz from Walmart, because it had an extra disc with extra features and behind the scenes stuff.
I
I
mean, at the
feel
end of
like retailers don't do that anymore, so I feel like that's why. You know,
I got to tell you, that's the reason why like I don't have a very many of them, but the ones that I do have, I really do appreciate, and I do really do appreciate like Criterion. I mean, holy shit! It's a walking video store. Everything you want to know about that movie, they'll tell you about it, and I think it's amazing. And the fact of the matter is that to me, it's like the big stores. How could they not see that there's a vibrant community out here? No, we're not going out there and not spending as much money as we were, but we were spending money, and it's like how many departments in your store were making money? How much money does it cost to have a video section? It's like you have vinyl records, people buy them.
mhm,
I'm sure as much as vinyl records are being sold, they're not out selling physical media. They're not
no,
selling that. Um, it's a real shame. Mr. Okay, you saw that. So Mr. Dan said he got himself Oh, a Lugosi figure shipped. Okay, I thought you said a Lego. I was like, what? That would be interesting. What
Yeah,
figure? What figure is selling, or what figure? Bella Lugosi.
it's a
So,
Jada Toys Bella Lugosi figure. I just reviewed it.
is that a new company?
No, Jada's been around for a while. They do other figures too, like they do some Street Fighter figures, and they do cars. Like they just do a whole different different franchise and stuff like that. Like they
Mhm.
do like some of the Fast and Furious cars. They do some of the Batman cars, but they also do like Street Fighter figures. They did a the General Mills the cereal. Um, the monsters like like Count Chocula, Frankenberry. I got a Blueberry last year from them. So they do a lot of different stuff. They're just a different like manufacturer.
Let's see. Jim wants us to say this 5 times fast. How many Legos could Lugosi lay on his leg? Uh, so talk to us a little bit about your journey onto YouTube. When did you join YouTube, and what was the reason behind it?
So I joined in October of 2022.
Please tell me because it had to do with showing off your cats.
It's part of it. So so that was the thing. So when I was getting back into like collecting figures, because I had already been starting to collect figures before I got into YouTube. My thing was, and again, this my wife. She's the mastermind behind a lot of this stuff. We would go to a con, and she'd be like, "Well, you don't really see too much like horror and cat stuff, you know, because
Yeah,
we got it. We
you never see cat stuff online.
Yeah, so it's just like you just don't find that mashup of or that marriage, I guess, of cats and horror, you know. So she's like, "Well, you like horror movies, and you love your cat, so horror cat dad." I'm like,
Uh-huh.
"That's pretty good." And I mean, I from there I kind of just took it, and at first I was just not really doing reviews or anything. I was just sharing my pictures of my cats on my Instagram and my figures, and then from there I would talk about figures and, oh, this is going to come out, and I'm like so excited about something or this, and then my wife's like, why don't you do a YouTube channel and review this stuff? And I was like,
Right.
and that's kind of how it all came about.
Now you have 6 cats, right?
I have two.
You have 2 cats.
Hmm.
What are their names? One's a tuxedo.
Hmm. She's actually with us right now. She's over there on the couch.
Oh, she is okay. Is that her? Is she on top of the couch?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, that's the TV I'm looking at. I don't think
No,
I can.
she's right there by the TV. You can
Oh,
barely
is
see
she?
her.
Oh my
Right.
gosh, she's black.
Yeah.
I can't see. Tell her to tell her to turn her face our way.
There you
Oh, there
see.
she is. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. What?
She's cleaning herself right now.
Yeah, yeah. So what's that cat's name?
Switch.
Switch. And okay, and the other cat's name?
It's a calico. She's Ellie.
Ellie. Okay. Wow, yeah. Okay, you have to move a little bit. Okay. Yeah, let's just check that out. She's beautiful. Now, does she ham it up when you go live? Do your lives like if you're doing your talk show with Don Zombie? Does she come
She
up there
does
and
this.
she does
She does
that?
this. Yeah.
That's why everybody wants to tune in. Look at that. She's going to town.
Yeah. If I
Does she-
see, that's the thing. If I have the door closed, she'll be like
of course.
scraping on the door. She wants to come in. I let her in, and then she'll be rubbing on my legs, and then she just goes and chills up there.
Oh, that's
She
so yeah.
is she is my baby. She Everywhere I go, she has to be close by me.
Yeah. Paladin, what is it because the weather's sort of chilly right now, and he's 13, so he likes staying warm. So during the night, he likes to go and get underneath the blanket. But come summertime, he'll be making some appearances. He'll be walking across the front of the camera. There's many videos I've had where he just walks back and forth. It's just like he's such a ham.
Hmm.
Uh, And Ellie, and where's Ellie at right now? Is Ellie in the room with you, or is she with your wife?
She's with my wife because
Okay.
if my wife's home, she wants to be carried by my wife. I'm
Now,
serious.
have you always been a cat dad?
Oddly enough, no. I've always been an animal lover. I've always loved animals. In fact, my favorite animal is a turtle. I've always loved turtles. I've been around cats all my life. I have a lot of crazy stories about cats, but it's not until 2020 during, pandemic and lockdown, we adopted both of our cats. And
Oh, right,
we
right.
got we got Ellie first. My wife chose her, and we got them from we rescued them from a vet. And yeah, she got Ellie first, and I just absolutely fell in love with her. And then my wife was like, "Well, we want to get another cat," and I was like, "Okay, well, if you pick the cat, I pick the dog." And she's like, "Well, you can pick the cat," and I didn't
Yeah.
pick.
Why would you deny yourself that pleasure of picking a cat and be stuck doing a dog?
Well, no, because that's what I was saying. Like my wife was already making it sound like she was gonna, we need another cat, so she was gonna go pick another cat. So that's
Right.
why I was like, well, if you're gonna pick the cat, then I'm gonna pick the dog,
Oh, I
and
thought
she said,
yeah. So you're trying to you're saying you can't pick both because
right.
yeah. Let's see.
And that's the thing with Switch. She chose me. Now
Yeah.
she knows she's rubbing on my legs right now. But
That
she chose me. I mean, I when we went to go get her, like I carried her, and when I held her, she was pawing at my arm, and I was like, that's it. I was done. And ever
Now
since then,
I have to admit normally that's how I let my cats pick me. I walk
mm,
by the cages and see the first one that puts his paw out.
mhm,
But I admit I picked Paladin. He for one thing, he was exotic. He was like I never seen a hybrid like with a cat and a cheetah. And I'm like, this is so weird. And he's all by himself. He's got his own cage and own enclosure. He couldn't be around any other cats. That's one thing they said is he cannot be around. He's not a pure domestic cat.
mm,
He's like he's a little bit. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if it's a female. Extremely aggressive toward other cats. So he
wow,
has to be only and so okay, no problem. So I got him, and they said, well, watch out. He's an escape artist. He only escaped once. It was my fault. Totally my fault. And but otherwise, he's been a very good boy. And yeah, I mean, I mean, I didn't rescue him as much as he rescued me. Oh my God, for sure, for sure. Now how old are they?
Ellie now is well. When we got Ellie in 2020, she was 11 or 11 months.
Oh,
So
11 months.
now, yeah, she was 11 months, and Switch was a year and a, I want to say a year and 6 months when we got her back in
So they're
2020.
still full of vinegar.
The what?
They're still full of vinegar. Then they romp and do zoomies and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, of course. I mean, and the fact that we got Ellie first, she was like feeling like she was trying to protect her territory. But Switch, I mean, she's like a gentle giant. She doesn't realize she's a big cat because she's a big cat. I mean, she's a big cat for compared to Ellie. So Ellie would try to fight her, and Switch will do some MMA moves. Like she gets on her back, pulls her down, and starts bunny kicking her, and then Ellie runs off because she can't beat her. It's like, and
No,
she tries to, and she ends up getting beaten because I mean, she's just a big cat. But like I
yeah.
said, she's a gentle giant. She's super like you hear her meows or anything like it's like the lightest squeaky, like she doesn't sound the way she looks.
Have you seen that one cat they have on Instagram? The one lady has Nimbus, the Siberian.
I don't
Have you sent you that one yet?
I don't know.
Oh, that cat is schizophrenic as hell. So, like, when she does zoomies,
Hmm.
oh my god, you feel like you could never approach her because she just goes crazy, and she's always growling, and when she's doing zoomies, and then when she doesn't, she just meows really softly and sweetly, and you go, "Oh, what a sweet cat." But man, I don't, I wanted to ask that lady who owns her. I said, like, when she gets zoomy like that, can you go over there and pick her up, or do you have to wait till the energy's all expended? Uh, okay, how about this? Favorite cat themed horror films? That's always a real fun topic. What are some of your what are some of the movies with cats in it that what you would recommend? Doesn't have to be necessarily horror.
Um, I like uh, I like Sleepwalkers, Stephen King Sleepwalkers. I like that one. I like. I mean, it's an anthology film, but Tales from the Dark Side.
Yep.
That one's a good one. That cat one is crazy cool, man. Which other one? I recently rewatched. Well, not recently, but like last year, I saw Uninvited.
Okay.
That one's a fun one too. It's got Clu
Um,
Gulager in it and George Kennedy. That one's a good one. Trying to think.
I saw Cat's Eye. I enjoyed that.
I haven't seen that one in a long
Sleepwalk
time.
Sleepwalkers is so freaking weird.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
such a that's such a weird movie. That's such a weird movie.
But the cats
And
are the heroes.
yes, yes, and the way that movie turned on its head, and it really turned out weird. When
Hmm.
he turns to her and he starts freaking out and the colors change and it's just like, what the hell is this? Um, it was really weird, but yeah, Sleepwalkers is definitely cats are definitely heroes. And the thing is, though, it's like the thing that gets me is like cats always get a bad rap in horror, like the eight-legged freaks, right? So sure enough, the spider kills the cat. This new movie coming out called Sting, right? And someone else was
Hmm.
talking about it, and I said, okay, so like, does it kill a cat? Because I just want to know, because before I go and before I, well, I won't spoil it for you, but I would recommend you not watch it. I'm going like, what the hell is that all about? Why are they always killing the cats? And why is the spiders doing it? I don't know about anybody else, and I've said this before, but my cat eats spiders. He eats them. My cat has sliced a centipede in half.
Nice.
He sliced it damn half. It's like I feel very wrong when I hear a horror movie and you see the cat walk around. The first thing you start thinking of, oh yeah, the cat's gonna get it. And sure enough, the cat does get it. It's like how come the dog never gets it in comparison? And
Well, in audition, the dog gets it, and at that point, I was like, okay, this chick got to go.
um,
Also, even in Evil Speak, the dog gets it, and look what happens to everybody because of it.
Um, a quick question: Cujo, horror film or no?
No,
That
I
movie
don't think.
breaks me. That movie
I don't
breaks
think.
me.
Yeah, it's hard. That's a rough movie to
It's
watch.
a hard movie to watch. It
Hmm.
really is.
I don't consider it a horror movie. I mean, I can understand why people would, but I mean, to me, it's just like the 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 rough part of that movie is what Dee Wallace and the kid go through. Like,
What the dog goes through. The dog
well,
is
yeah, what the
amazing.
dog goes through, but yeah, but I'm being for me, like the crazy stuff that would always affect me as a kid was
Mhm.
seeing like the parts when the dog was not on screen, when you see like them, like they're in the heat, the mom and the kid, and they're like, because I mean, I'm a kid watching this, so like it's like, but it was me and my mom for it's always been me and my mom. So seeing this is sort of like me and my mom are stuck in this car, and
Sure.
this heat and all this stuff. So for me, that was the part that was like really the horrific, like the part that really affected me the most, because like the mother son, perspective, you know what I mean, or aspect of it.
What
No,
I,
but
you know,
like,
exactly. When I got older, and I watched it, my perspective changed from that to the dog, and after watching it, and it never was about her and the kid anymore. It was always about the dog, and that's a horror film, where we were if you're sitting there thinking about the mom and the son, you're thinking about the wrong person. And the real victim in that movie is the dog. And it's so sad, and it's a really moving film. And the thing is, so when you watch it, And then, and here we are, where, when D. Wallace kills it, people are going, yeah. And
Well,
now when you
I
watch
wasn't saying that. I mean,
uh, well, back when I saw it, because, the
mhm,
dog,
yeah, yeah.
but now when you see it, when she does it, then you go to, you want to say to D. Wallace, you go, thank you, thank you, because you put the dog out of his misery. And
Mhm.
so thank you for that. It's like it was, when the people, the owners do die. I mean, there's very few times where you actually truly feel on a personal level, like when a movie becomes more than just a movie, it becomes something when you watch, it becomes part of you. And that'll be my next question to you, by the way, is when you watch something like that on an emotional level, like when I rewatched Cujo for my 500th review, when I rewatched it, I got emotional because I felt so bad for the dog. And when the owners did die, I didn't shed it. I wouldn't have shed a tear for him. I didn't feel sorry for him at all, at all. I felt sorry for the little boy who lost his pet. He loved this dog, and it's like, when it looked like maybe the dog was gonna come get him, and then it didn't. Of course it shouldn't, because the boy didn't know. The boy loved this dog. He would have took care of the dog if he could have. And so let me bring that up to you. Has there ever been a horror film that has affected you on a personal level that has really stayed in your heart, and you carry around? And like I asked you earlier, like what 5 films would you tell someone new to watch for horror? But what 5 films would you share, that were most emotional for you?
Well, to kind of piggyback what you were saying about Cujo, the thing that still affects me till this day is just The Fly 2.
Mm,
That whole thing with the dog, like it messed with me back then. It still messes with me today. I mean, that just really, you know, it's so like it's like I said, even with Audition, once that that broad kills the dog, I'm like, okay, you need to go.
yeah.
You know, I'm just like, any animal. That's why I can't watch Cannibal Holocaust, because it's just like, just the stuff that goes on, and knowing the fact that that stuff happened, that they really did that stuff to the animals, and like that, I can't watch that movie because of it.
No.
You know, any movie where something happens to an animal, it's like whether it's real or not, like it's still gonna affect me, and it's like, okay, everybody needs to die in this film. You know.
It's really strange. It's like, like back in the day, it used to be like, two things were sort of like forbidden, like animals and children. You couldn't show
Mhm.
either one suffering. And it slowly has eroded to the point now where now it's a regular habit. Now you watch a horror movie or even a regular movie, and you will see a kid die on screen. It's like, oh wow, you didn't, it's like that used to never be. But
Yeah,
now,
well, when you started seeing stuff like that, like, I remember when I started seeing stuff when I started seeing like kids die in films, I was just like, holy cow, man, they went there.
yeah,
Because it was so like, oh wow, like you said, it was forbidden for the longest time. But see, like, there was movies like the original Dawn of the Dead, which is, like I said, one arguably top favorite horror movie of all time. Because I mean, that one and the original Night of the Living Dead are both tied for me. I love both of those films. Those are my favorite horror films of all time. But that one where
even
you
the
see
remake, even the
the
remake
what?
of Dawn of the Dead, where the remake of Dawn of the Dead, where she gives birth to the baby, and there's 2 shots. They didn't show the shots, but there's 2 of them, and
Hmm.
that baby was one of them. And
Yep.
you sitting there, like, yeah, it might have been born dead, but it's a baby, and they put a bullet in it.
Hmm.
It's just like it blows your mind. Like,
Hmm.
wow, didn't see that. Um, Do you think do you think do you think some movies go far, do you think some movies go too far? I mean, are there any movies that, other than Cannibal Holocaust, that you won't watch? If there's movies that you just like, I'm a horror fan, but I don't necessarily need to go that far. Are there some movies that you just won't watch?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not big on the like the torture porn type films. I'm not into those. I feel like it's just for shock value, you know. There's also what was it? The Terrifier films. That's the biggest. You know, everybody loves those. I saw
Yeah.
the second one. I didn't like it. It was boring, and I felt like they were just. It was too mean spirited, and it was too like for the sake of shock value.
Can I tell
Um,
you a secret? Can I tell you a
mhm.
secret? Might help change your mind a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're gonna laugh at this, but I actually asked him. Art the clown is a cat lover. The
Yeah,
character, the character,
I
the
saw.
character, the character Art loves cats.
Yeah, I
I
saw
I I I,
the
I asked
video
him.
where you said that.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I was sitting there going like, because I'm like, that's amazing. Art's my new hero. It's like, yeah, he just killed somebody. Yeah, but he likes cats. But he's gonna slice that girl in half, but he's gonna go over there and give that cat some temptations. How can I hate the guy? You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like in Thanksgiving, John Carver.
Yeah, he said he fed the cat, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, I went to go see that with a buddy of mine, was like a really close friend of mine. We went to go see the film in the theater, and that scene comes up where the cat comes out, and I'm just like, oh no. And then
Yeah,
and then my buddy, he's just like he starts like hitting me on the shoulder, like because he knows, you know, like
you
I'm
gotta
just
kill
like
the cat. Yeah.
I was just like, oh no, don't do it. And then all of a sudden, like, he turns back and looks at the cat. I was like, oh no, it's gonna hit. Don't tell me it's gonna happen. And then he feeds the cat and he's like, gives him scratches. I'm like, I started going like this in the theater, and my buddy was like, see, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, something you see that and you go like, yes, for a stone cold killer, and you sitting there go like, because I was sitting there watching the first Terrifier, and I was waiting for him to do that. I was like, oh boy, there's too many cats around, and he doesn't care. He's just and then I asked him, I said, I just want to know is Art the Clown a cat lover? He goes, yeah, he likes dogs too. I'm like, oh, that's awesome, go Art.
Well, I'll give him that.
Kill them all except for the dogs and cats.
Exactly.
That's too funny. See, the more gore, the better, but that's just us. PETA channel videos are sad and make us go potty. Yeah, PETA is I don't support PETA at all. That's probably a different podcast for a different day, but PETA is not what they appear to be.
I've
That
heard that.
Yeah, it's hideous. Some of the things they've done, shit, not good. Um, uh, and see, they ate the turtle. Um, man, I couldn't help it if I got a turtle for a pet. I would have to name it Gamera. That's just all there is to it. I could not. Last topic before we let you get out of here. So talk to us a little bit about the little talk show that you and Don Zombie has put together. How did that come about, and how do you guys decide what to talk about during the show, and when does it come on?
Okay, so it kind of it really kind of formulated because of Rob's vintage video. He would stream every Friday. So for me, it became like my Friday evening routine. He would stream, I would be in the chat, and it's like hanging out with my buddies. Like talking with them, Captain Adam, Don, Russell, like several people, Professor Macabre would show up, like all these people would just show up and we would just all like talk about movies and joke around, and it's like hanging out with my friends, and then when Rob, went on hiatus and stuff like that, I was kind of left like missing that. And me and Don had already been streaming. He had, if not for Don, I wouldn't have gone and done any streams. He was the first one that kind of, him and I started talking on Instagram, and he said, hey, would you want to join me for Predator? And that's where it all kind of started from there. But I told him like, hey man, like I started telling him like I kind of miss this. I kind of miss hanging out with everybody, and how would you feel about streaming sometime, you know just like as like a show, like just us just talking about stuff, hanging out, and then talking about movies, and just kind of like randomness. And then he kind of, my thing was every time I joined a chat, I would say in the house,
Okay.
So he came up with the idea of using that as a name for the show, and then from there, in regards to topics and stuff, we just kind of, you know, what movies did you see this week? We're like, oh, did you see that this came up? Did you see that this came up? We'll talk about that on the show. And then a lot of the stuff is just, it spirals out of control.
That's the
Well,
best kind sometimes. For
yeah, I mean, we'll have our topics, and then all of a sudden we start talking about Pauly Shore, or our love for Stone Cold. It just kind of just goes every which way, and that's the cool thing. That again, it's like hanging out with my friends, like me and my buddies back home. We'll watch a movie, we just start talking about stuff, and it goes everywhere. And that's how, everybody that's in the chat, they are a big part of the show as well, because it's like it's our friends coming, hanging out with us, and their interaction. I mean, it's not just me and Don. It's, the chat. The chat is the third, the unofficial,
third dad.
official. Yeah.
Yeah, no
And then
doubt. Yeah.
and then we
Speaking
just.
speaking of Stone Cold, because he mentioned talking about Stone Cold. Did you see that his cat he's made a star out of his cat?
Oh, yeah. I watch
Poncho?
Pancho. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the Stone Cold you were talking about, or were you talking about the one with Lance Hendrickson?
No, the one with Lance Hendrickson. Like, that
Okay.
was like one Friday. I don't know how I don't know how it went into that film, and then everybody in the chat was loving that film, and
Oh my
J Ho.
god, that movie is so funny. That movie
Oh,
is just
it's so good.
that movie just kills me. It's just like I can't it's just it makes me laugh. Uh See Larry and the big bad dog. Friends till the end. Love yeah, and I love Don, yeah, Don the Don zombie, yeah, the yeah. That's hilarious. So what's new on your channel? What do you got going on this week?
So I released a mini statue review of a Predator today. I'll have a figure review Friday, and then we'll have in the house on Don's channel on Friday.
Okay.
Usually, that's the other thing that we kind of decided to do, is like we alternate on each
Yeah,
other's channels.
that
So
helps.
yeah, it's to kind of like, my thought process was, after our first episode where we both did it simulcast, I was like, why I really don't like pulling, half of our friends are here, half of our friends are here. Let's
Right.
just have everybody in one chat. And we both agreed, it's like, yeah, it's a fair, just have
Yeah.
everybody all in one place, and then we just alternate. And I was like, yeah, cool, man. And
Yeah,
then
that's the best way. That's the best way. Alternative that way you guys get the both of all the views. You're hosting, you should get the views. If he hosting, I'm with that. I've been asked to do that simulcast, and I'm like, no. If you invited me onto your show, I want you to get all the views. It's your idea. You're the host. I'd rather just do it that way. I don't feel comfortable setting it up and maybe taking somebody's views away for their idea. So I'm not about that. I'm with you. I'm with you.
yeah,
And
and
for
I
Don
mean,
Zombie, for some sloppy hand hearts. Um, let's see. Wanted Dead or Alive is a sequel. Um, that's the one with is that the one with Rutger Hauer?
that's a sequel to Stone Cold. I don't know.
Um, I didn't know that either.
Huh,
I thought
interesting.
is that the only is that I think that's the only film, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the only film that Brian Bosworth ever opened up with that opened at the theater.
Yeah.
I think so. God, that movie's so bad, so bad. And what,
Uh,
what a waste! What a waste of a cat. We wasted William Forsythe halfway through the movie. Oh,
I agree with you there, because William Forsythe, he's a beast. I
he is.
mean, I liked him in that movie, but yeah, he kind of.
Man, what movie I really liked him in? He didn't have a huge part in it, but he was really cool in it. Was The Rock.
Yeah, he was also good, and he always cracks me up in Deuce Bigelow.
Oh, I missed that one.
You haven't
But
seen Deuce Bigelow? Oh man,
no,
he's so good in that. It's
no,
just
I'm
like
gonna watch that.
he's so intense, but it's like it's so hilarious. But he's like just through the whole movie, he's just so intense, and
Yeah, the
it's
first
just
time
like
I ever saw him was Untouchables.
yeah, he's
He
good in
played
that.
yeah, he was really good in that.
I'm trying to
Um,
think. The first time I saw him was either Untouchables or real small part that I remember him in was in um, Career Opportunities.
okay.
Did you ever see
I
that one?
is that the one with Jennifer Connelly, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yep, her riding the pony.
Hmm. Yeah,
Jennifer
he's the target. He's the guy that's telling him like don't. He locks the what's his name in the store. It's like don't go into the smelling the women's undergoods and all this stuff. Like that's him. I was just like, oh my god, he's so great in that. And then you have like a small cameo by John Candy. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like that movie is like underrated for sure.
Oh
But no,
god.
I mean, he's great. I mean, William Forsythe. I mean, that show. Did you ever watch that show where he was Al Capone?
Yeah, that's the Untouchables.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the film. Wasn't he in
No,
that
no,
too?
they made a TV series out of it.
Yeah, that show was good. I like
It
that
was
show.
good. That
I
was he
did.
was that's what broke him in Hollywood. And then he started doing other roles. And then he did The Rock. He goes Mason got blown out to sea, huh? Poor bastard. It's just like that look at his face. It's like, yeah, I'm not believing you were shit, but I will
Yeah,
go with it. Yeah.
he was also
Um,
good in Blue Streak.
oh, it's right. Yeah. Now that's an FBI agent. Yeah,
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 it's
that's
like
right. Yeah, with
next time use
Martin
a phone
Lawrence.
book on him.
Oh my gosh, he was hilarious in that film.
Well, that's
It's
the
funny.
thing. If
It's so much fun to see an actor like that. For me,
Mhm.
really fun to see an actor like that where is known for action, adventure, badass and everything, and then you get a chance to see him do comedy. You like, and it's just so fun to see. It's like that guy's really funny. Like for one of mine is RL with Ermy. Oh my God,
Mhm.
Ermy, and Saving Silverman. Oh my God, he was hilarious.
Yeah,
He was hilarious in that.
yeah,
It's like
Hater.
he was funny as hell, and the Frighteners, he was really good in that too. And it's like, and he's doing comedy.
Mhm. That's what I'm
Um,
saying. Like, you like I'll have to send you a clip or something from Deuce Bigelow. Like he's playing it almost like straight, but it's like ridiculous. Like it's hilarious. Like because he's so intense and he really hates Rob Schneider in this film. Like he's really out to get him, but it's hilarious the stuff that he says and he comes up with and the way his line delivery is just so good. And that's why like you see him in that, and then when I saw him in Blue Streak, it's like you know
he
it's
was
because
hilarious in that.
yeah he's good. His comedic timing is great.
Yeah, that's an FBI agent. Shit. All right, boys and girls, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. I want to thank our friend Larry, and of course, Switch and Elsa,
Ellie.
Ellie, for coming by and saying hi, and of course, all you guys in the chat, thank you so much for that. Every Friday night in the house, is it 8 o'clock? It starts
It's 7 o'clock Eastern, so 6 o'clock Central.
7 o'clock Eastern.
Mhm.
Who's hosting it this week?
It's going to be on Don's channel
So
this week.
This Friday at 7 p.m. So you see in the house with Don Zombie and Larry. And thank you so much for coming onto the show. We're gonna have all your links down below. And if you have not subbed to Larry's channel, what the hell are you waiting for? Get over there and sub. That's right. And we will,
Thank you so
yeah.
much.
This was a lot of fun, and it was good getting to know you. And of course now we're doing the cat thing on Instagram. Uh, yeah, so get used to that. Thanks so much for coming by. We will not be here tomorrow night. Tomorrow actually, tomorrow night I was actually scheduled to interview. I was actually interviewed Dave, yeah, tomorrow. I was supposed to talk to him. So, um, but we will be on tomorrow, but we're not going to be here with 8 questions with. I do believe I'll be joined by Katie, and if anybody else wants to come by at 8 o'clock, It'll be open mic, so you guys can come over and hang out with me for a couple hours. But we will be back on Friday night, 8 o'clock for 8 Questions with, and our guest will be Mary Wilson. She is one of my fellow knights on the IFC Midnight Show, and I hope you guys come out and hang out with us. We'll be talking IFC movies, and she's also a very good artist. We'll be talking about that, and we'll be talking with her about her medical journey. She's been on a medical journey, and we'll talk to her about that. Yeah, she's actually one of the few people I know that kick cancer's ass. So you're gonna want to come over and check that out. I want to thank the chat so much. You guys hung in tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We do this 3 times a week, sometimes 4. Hopefully you'll come by and hang out with us another time. If not, well, we'll see you down the road. There's always a replay. All right, Larry, you stay right where you're at, and to the chat, we'll say goodnight, and we'll see you soon. Peace.
Bye, guys.